the Thabo Bester escape case has been postponed to the 11th of October for further investigations. All the 12 accused, including Bester, appeared in the Bloemfontein Magistrate's court. Bester, together with his girlfriend, Dr Nandipha Magudumana, appeared in person after appearing virtually last time. Bester has complained about his treatment at the Kgosi Mampuru Correctional Center, where he is being held since his arrest in Tanzania, his rearrest rather. His lawyer, Kabelo Matee, has told the court that Bester remains cuffed while inside his cell 23 hours in a day. Matee says his client reported missing items during his arrest in Tanzania in April. These include cash in the form of rands, dollars, Swiss francs, cell phones, laptops, high-end watches with millions of rand, sunglasses, and a 350,000 rand wedding ring. All right, now let's get analysis. We're now joined via Teams by legal expert Ulrich Roux. Ulrich, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Now, this case has been postponed to today, to allow for those further investigations. How likely will it be that the state would have completed its investigation and proceed with the trial then on the 11th of October?
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for having me. Yes, well, we would have to wait and see. Remember that the state does not have, an endless period of time in order to complete their investigation. Every accused before court is entitled, in terms of our constitution, to a fair and a speedy trial. So one would expect them to complete the investigation by 11 October. And should they not complete it by then, they could run into some difficulties with the magistrate possibly marking the matter as final, meaning that they would have one more opportunity to complete the investigation, after which the state could be on the receiving end of what we call a Section 342A application, whereby the defence could apply for the matter to be struck from the court's roll, given the delay in the finalisation of the investigation. So, if I was the state and the prosecution dealing with the matter, I would ensure that my investigation is completed by the 11th of October.
Now, of course, during the case, we also heard about inhumane treatment. Of course, this was the first time all 12, suspects were appearing in court. Bester appearing publicly for the first time too. We heard from his lawyer that he is being treated inhumanely with cuffs on 23 hours in his cell. Just talk to us about how this weighs in on the case.
Well, to be blunt and to be frank, it has absolutely no bearing on the case before the court. Remember that he is in custody on the other matter where he was convicted and received a life sentence for murder and rape. And if he has any difficulty in the way that he is being treated whilst incarcerated, then his remedy lies in an application against the Department of Correctional Services, as he is under their control, and he should voice any concerns or any complaints that he has. He should voice towards and with the Department of Correctional Services. So, in my opinion, his legal representative mentioning that today is purely to create some sort of atmosphere and try and garner some sympathy towards him, but it should have no effect whatsoever on the matter before the court at present, where he's of course now facing new charges in addition to the conviction that he has already been sentenced on and is serving a period of imprisonment on.
All right. And of course, something that has been talked about on social media a lot that I also have to bring into this conversation, Bester and Magudumana sitting next to each other as accused number 4 and 5. A lot of talk about how affectionate they seemed and also how, cozy they looked. With Magudumana's, earlier, assertions that she was forced into this, she was not meant to be with Bester at the time. She was also illegally taken from Tanzania, whatever the case is. How much of that will it have to do with her case, when trial begins on the 11th of October?
Well, it's bizarre behavior, to be honest. I cannot believe that they have not been advised not to act in such a way whilst in the dock. She made a great deal about the fact that she was coerced and forced, and that she cannot be held criminally liable for her actions because she was under the so-called spell of Bester. And clearly, when one looks at the footage of the two of them communicating in court today, that is not the case whatsoever. So I don't think that she's doing herself any favors. Also, you know, the whole facade that's been created in terms of their clothing that they wear, and the expensive items that were in his possession when he was arrested in Tanzania, it will not bode well for them when the matter does go to trial. In the first place, why was he in possession of such expensive items when he is in fact a convicted felon and should in fact have been in prison serving his sentence? So where did he come into possession of such expensive items, as well as the alleged amount of 500,000 euros? It all goes towards the allegations and confirms the state's allegations against him that he has a complete disregard for the law, that he will not abide by any laws or rules that are applicable to him, and it will certainly not be in their favor should the matter go to trial. Certainly in her instance, I think that she's been very badly advised, and her behavior in the dock today is bizarre in my opinion. It's clear that she's under no coercion or has not been forced to act in any way by Bester. She freely, showed affection towards him whilst in the dock, and I think that any reliance of hers on such a defence, should the matter go to trial, will completely be disregarded by a court.
And I mean, as you say, they are facing 16 charges, one of which is corruption and the other fraud. Just talking about those items that you mentioned, I mean, they found also, very expensive watches valued at over 2 million rands each. And as you've said, in terms of the currency, they've also found 1.4 million rands in Zambian currency, 36,000 US dollars, and over 295,000 rands. Just going back to, Nandipha Magudumana, of course, her lawyer, told the court that she is still involved in that civil litigation and will continue reserving her right to apply for bail. We, of course, know that 3 of them have not applied for bail, and that includes, of course, Bester and the Zimbabwean national Zanda Moyo. Just talk to us about Nandipha Magudumana's chances going forward in terms of this civil case that she's still pursuing.
Well, it should have no bearing on the criminal matter whatsoever. So I'm not certain as to why it was brought up in court today. She was refused bail. She has not yet applied for bail. She brought an application to have her arrest set aside, saying that it was unlawful and that she should in fact not be before court. That was dismissed by the High Court. So I'm not certain as to what further civil litigation her legal representative is referring to. But once again, it should have no bearing on the matter currently before court. This matter is going to go through the normal postponements, and once it's set down for trial, then the state will lead testimony and will present evidence in support of their case, and she will obviously be given an opportunity to answer thereto, and that is, frankly speaking, the only focus point that they should be focusing on at this stage is, how strong is the state's case going to be against them as the accused in this matter, and if and whether they have a defense at all against the charges that are going to be leveled against them. So, it's unfortunate that there are a number of so-called sideshows that have come to light in this matter. Her attorney also standing up in court today and complaining about the manner in which she was transported to court. Quite frankly, if I was the magistrate, I would say, well, why are you even mentioning this in court today? It's got nothing to do with this matter. If you have any complaints, then level them against the Department of Correctional Services or against the South African Police Services who transported you. But that does not have any bearing on the matter before me today. And I think the same goes for the civil matter that she is allegedly still pursuing.